What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bourbon and Bullshit podcast with some good friends, great drinks, and a little bit of BS. So grab a seat, pour up something neat, and welcome to the show. All right. So, guys, today we have a unique episode, right? So we are actually filming in beautiful Lakeland, Florida, at Christian Lugo's, a fine establishment, Lugo's Craft Distillery. We've been here before, but it's been some time. But throughout this journey where we got to know Christian and everyone here in this establishment, we ended up meeting someone with common interest in exploring and highlighting the local entities, creatives, and business owners of Lakeland, Florida. So, guys, welcome today. His name is Chaq. I don't want to mispronounce your last name because I know names matter.
It's all good. It's Cozart.
Cozart, there we go. And he is from Updraft Marketing, Iconic Insights podcast.
Yep.
And you've had a really lush marketing experience, but welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Yeah, dude. Thank you for having me on, first of all, man. I appreciate it. I'm doing great today.
Awesome,
I'm doing great.
Man. So tell us about yourself, man. Do you have a lot of stuff going on? Do you sleep? Is this just a...
I try to when I can. No, man, I have a lot going on, but it's been good. So my background originally, it's for the better part of my life, it's been marketing. So I've been in marketing for roughly 10 years now, from work for different companies, but also recently started my own marketing agency called Updraft Marketing. But before that, I was actually a news reporter. So I was a broadcast journalist.
You have the voice for it. I got to tell you that, man.
Yeah.
I really go on.
I hear that a lot, but yeah.
You definitely do.
Yep. So when my wife and I lived in Montana, I was a journalist out there. So I was doing different reporting around the Billings, Montana, the city there. And that's really what, I guess, sparked my interest in videography and kind of got me, not really, I was into marketing before that, but it got me really into the video side of things.
Yeah.
No, and it really helped me when it comes to doing things like this, talking to people and all that stuff. And after that, I kind of transitioned. I went to college, got my degree in marketing, media studies and all that, and started working in the marketing field, actually.
Really?
So I started working for a couple nutrition companies.
Okay.
I was their marketing director. After that, when we moved to Lakeland as well, too, I've been a marketing director for a couple companies out here as well. And then kind of transition into, I was just like, I want to do my own thing. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to watch this and be like on that same journey where you're working for someone else, but you just want to do your own thing. So I eventually decided to branch out and started Updraft Marketing a year ago, actually.
That is fantastic.
Still very new. Yeah.
I mean, cheers to that. Forgot to mention, we actually got some really good old fashions made here at Lugo's Craft. If you haven't had a chance to stop and try their actual in-house bar, the cocktails are fantastic. Check out Alex. He's their head bartender and in charge of all the cocktails. He's been featured as a drink of the day before, and people love him. People love him for a reason. But so was the goal to always be in marketing? Because you said you started journalism a little bit. Was that kind of the end game, or how'd you go through this path? Yeah,
so I would say originally the goal was to be a journalist. That was the ultimate goal. And I was a multimedia journalist out there. For people that don't know, that means I was not only reporting on the news, I was also shooting it. So I had my camera, I had to set it up. And then if I was interviewing somebody, I had to interview them while looking at the camera, while getting my questions correct and all that stuff. And I fell in love with it. And, that's another thing that kind of sparked my interest in cameras. But besides that, the original dream was to be a broadcast journalist. I really wanted to see how far I could go with it. Maybe be a host on a newscast somewhere. I don't know, something like that.
Life
I really
is
wanted
long.
to go
We
far.
still got time, man. We still got time.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it changed. When I moved to Florida, it was a very different market. Because when you're in Montana, you're in a lot smaller market, and when you try to go to Florida and you start applying for news gigs, especially with my experience, I wasn't in news for a long time. I was only in there for about a year and a half. So coming out to Florida, it was really hard to try to find another position where I could be a journalist again. No one was really looking for a journalist with only a year and a half experience coming to this market. So
yeah, Florida. That's the one thing about Florida that I've always I do find interesting is that it's so competitive, right? And you so I'm born and raised in a big city, New York City. So to me, it feels much less competitive. But when I talk to anyone else, anything in entertainment in Florida is highly, highly competitive. Dude. Whether it's graphic design, Full Sail is obviously flourishing for a reason here. And any kind of media or any kind of news outlets, just creatives out here is super competitive. Yeah. So when you came out here, at what point you said, it's not going to work for me? Was it one of those a year in? How long through that path?
So I think It was probably around a year, honestly. It didn't take I lived here for a year with my wife, and I didn't have anything to do really. I wasn't getting a gig in journalism. So it was very quick when I kind of just had to make that transition and figure out what exactly I really wanted to do career-wise, which ultimately turned into be marketing.
That's dope.
And that was kind of random. It was something that I already knew how to do. Social media. I've had my YouTube channel or a couple YouTube channels now. And again, I was a marketing assistant for a nutrition company back then before I was a journalist, and I'd already been in marketing for a few years at that time. So I was like, I'm just going to get back to it and try to make a career out of this.
Yeah. So it felt like a natural progression.
Yeah, it was pretty natural.
How long ago did you move to Florida?
Say that again?
How long ago did you move to Florida?
So I moved to Florida. I've been here for I think 5 years now. I want to say, yep.
Is it much different than Montana? I'm not even trying to be funny.
Dude, I miss Montana so much.
Really?
Yeah, I love Montana. So, I mean, you get the mountains, you get the cold, you get the winter, everything. I love it. Man, I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm so glad that someone came here and was like, I miss the winters.
Yeah, man, I miss it. So
many people that move out here like, oh, I hate the winters. That's why I moved. I didn't want to be around snow.
I don't like to constantly be living in a toaster oven, man. Florida's hot.
Anyone on camera can see that I'm not built for this weather.
It is hot.
It is hot for no good reason at all times. It's like 96 degrees in May.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Disgusting.
So I definitely miss those cold Montana nights where I actually light a fire and just enjoy being outdoors. But now it's a little different. So
no, I love that because it's true. Those mountain air. Well, I'm a city boy, but I get winters. We go upstate New York sometimes, whatever, blah. And I just, those like random Facebook or Instagram questions where it says, would you rather be in the woods, in a snow-covered cabin in the city? All those like, hey, whatever, just clickbait. Every single one, I was like, I don't know why anyone would pick like anywhere but the cold woods with a dog.
Yeah. God. Yeah. If I had a choice, I'm going to pick some snow. At least give me snow, a couple months out of the year or something like that. Yeah. Not just all heat. So.
So anyone who wants to move to Florida, please don't. We're full and it's hot.
Why'd you move here though? I've been curious.
So my family moved down here when I was around like 25. No, they moved here when I was like 20, 21, give or take. And my mom bought a home, a very super focused individual. She wanted to buy multiple houses, make some money off of it, all that. But fortunately, she ended up getting sick. Yep. She's better now because everyone was like, oh my God. She got sick to the point that she couldn't really take care of multiple homes. So I moved down here to kind of assist that process and just be like, hey, she couldn't manage multiple houses on her own. My sister was still in high school. So I was like, I'll come down for a little bit, but I'm not going to stay forever. And then I met my fiance about 11 years ago, and now I'm stuck. I'm stuck.
This is home now.
Yeah, for now, for the time being. I did meet a lot of good friends along the way, but in no way, shape, or form was it meant to be permanent. Mm-hmm. But then when you visit places like, go back to New York, and I'll be just honest about like the financials of it, to get an apartment out there for like $2,000, $2,500 a month, I could get a massive house here and keep my dogs and all that. So I kind of got spoiled by that, where I enjoyed having my own space. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed being able to do what I wanted with my house. I enjoyed having my dogs. I enjoyed being able to get to the other side of the house and have a home office that wouldn't interfere with anything else. Yep. We're in New York City, yes, the hustle and bustle is always great. The food is great. The nightlife is great. The people, the vibe. Honestly, the thing I miss the most is public transportation, where I don't have to worry about things like the train. That's what I wish we had more of. Yeah. Everywhere I go, I wish we had more public transportation. Yes, it's more frequently running. Exactly. And you'd be surprised how often, I almost imagine much less, and yes, it's ironic to say during this kind of podcast, how many less accidents, drink and driving situations, all that. Yeah. If public transportation was readily available, like really good public transportation. Wouldn't have so many people on I-4 every day. Yeah. Honestly. So. 100%. Agreed. That's the thing I miss the most. Mm-hmm. That, and I have a lot of friends out there. There's just a different dynamic of how you can interact with people out there versus Florida. Yeah. There's a lot more niceties and politeness. And I'm not saying I'm rude or anything like that, but... That's the first time I've heard niceties and politeness from New York. Yeah. No, I'm saying here, there are more niceties and politeness. Got you. Yeah, no. New York people are nice, not kind. And Florida's kind, not nice. That's fair. That's a good way to put it, actually. I like that, yeah. Where Floridians will be very polite about telling you to go F yourself. Yeah. But they're really polite about it. Where New Yorkers could be really rude helping you. That's fair, yeah. This is a real story. I was in a train, and I was like 28 at the time. I was in a train, and I see two people that were obviously tourists from another country, couldn't speak a word of English, and trying to read this faded subway map on the train while it's moving back and forth. And a gentleman... who, for anyone on the outside looking in, looked like a hoodlum. Just looked like straight up the biggest thug. Do-rag, everything. Just looked like what prototypical hoodlum would be in like Chicago Wire or whatever show they fucking depict hoodlums on. And he takes off his headphones, listens. Yo, my man, where you trying to go? And the guy's like, oh, it shows him directions. Like, let me see your paper. It shows him.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, stay here until any points. And he says, yo, my man has to get off on here. Make sure he gets off on the right spot to everyone in the train. Mm-hmm. And just a voice in the crowd was like, I got you. Just helpful for the nature, for the sake of being helpful. He's like, my man, you good. Stay here until he, and raises his hand, tells you to get off.
Did he get off at the right spot?
100%.
Okay.
And other people were waiting. Other people were like listening to the whole thing, like to make sure the dude got off. They didn't say anything nice, nothing polite, but they made sure homie got there right.
Damn, that's awesome.
I was like, this is New York City in a nutshell. If you stop every 5 minutes to be nice and have a polite conversation, you get nowhere.
It comes back to being human, man. I wish just everybody was like that. You know, it shouldn't be that hard to just help somebody get off a train at some spot, you know?
Yeah.
So
I love that because it's 100%. I try to be mindful of that in everything we do, right? We're not alone in this place, alone in this world, anywhere we are. Yeah. So keeping in mind, like, it's so much less effort to not be a jerk.
Exactly. Like, the world would be a better place. I think that's a lot of things we deal with right now and just everywhere across the world, man. It's just, it all comes down to just being human again. Yeah. I think too many people are looking at others like they're not human and just labiling them with something. And now it's, that's not to get into all that, but that's where we're at right now, I feel like. Kind
of the nature of the show, right? We kind of get into whatever we want.
Yeah.
No, but I completely agree with you. I think that there's a lot of misjudgments that are either based off of surfaces or like skewed information or just not getting full stories. And so much so that I've had friends and like people I legitimately consider friends who will talk to me about an article and have not read it. And let's just talk about movies. I'll just talk about a movie.
Yeah.
The movie, the Sky, like, Don't Look Up. It was a Netflix movie with Jonah Hill, Jennifer Lawrence, and a couple people. Some genuinely wonderful journalists wrote, for clickbait, obviously, I'm being kind of wrote that Scarlett Johansson says that she could never work with Jonah Hill again. Working with him was too difficult. No. Scarlett Johansson said working with Jonah Hill was too difficult.
Okay.
On the surface, is like, there must have been something negative because it was meant to seem that way. My friend says to me, oh, I heard that they can't get along. I guess Jonah Hill's a jerk. No, the article said Jonah Hill ad-libs lines and he's too funny. So he'll make people laugh because he'll go off script. So Jennifer Lawrence found it hard to keep her composure and be serious during a scene because she kept laughing genuinely and loved Jonah Hill.
Dude, what a great example that is. That's such a great example just because this is the headline world we live in today. Yeah. Everything's about the headline. I mean, that on Facebook, that probably went crazy because everybody's like, "Oh, she hates Jonah Hill," all this stuff. Yeah. That's a great example right there. I love it.
It made me laugh because I'm like, it would have taken 5 seconds worth of effort to not make you look like an asshole.
Read it. All you gotta do is read it. You know,
like, Jonah Hill was apparently hilarious.
Yeah,
and ad-libbed.
Yep.
So and the conversation went further. A lot of these highly successful comedic actors have space to get creative. Mm-hmm. So directors or writers will even like say something funny, like do what you want. And sometimes those ad libs are the final takes. Mm-hmm. Parks and Rec is one of the great examles of.
Oh yes,
you heard about the funniest line?
What's the funniest line?
What are the writers were on? They were doing an interview and they said, arguably one of the best lines that's ever been recorded on this show was completely ad-libbed by Chris Pratt, and it pisses me off. But he was like laughing. He's like, as a writer, do you have any idea how frustrating that is? That I go to school, I write, and this man just says something off the cuff. It is the funniest part of that season.
That's wild.
It was an episode Leslie Knope has the flu and super sick.
Okay.
And in real life, those computers aren't connected to anything, and they're in the office. So Chris Pratt says, completely ad-libbed. It's like, Leslie, I typed your symptoms into the computer and it says you might have a 404 connectivity issue. He just said something random that came up on the screen because it wasn't connected.
Yeah.
And he was dead serious about it. They're like, what are the best lines I never wrote? And the writers, I'm like, comedians get to do that. So Jonah Hill did that. Jennifer Lawrence says, he's hilarious, I can't work with him. Turns into Jonah Hill's a jerk and can't work with people.
Oh my God.
Surface versus the reality of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's good. That's good.
But I'm glad that you think that we should be treating people better because and that's part of the reason why we do the show. I think that is connecting with people and understanding what their perspectives are. Montana, Florida, marketing, journalism, all that.
Yes.
Tell me more about now that you've come here and you've been working you've had like Updraft Marketing.
Updraft Marketing, yep.
For about a year now?
Yeah, Updraft Marketing has been going on for about a year now. Yes.
Okay, so like, tell me about like what's the most exciting clients you've had? Like, tell me about how that's been going, and like what do you do for these businesses and how that approach is?
Yeah, man. So basically, what I am is through myself with contractors and things like that. Full service marketing. So the biggest thing I do is advertising. So advertising on social media, Google, different apps like that, as well as creating content and getting that content out, scheduling content for people, handling social media accounts. I mean, really anything you can think of when it comes to marketing. It's kind of changed now and shifted a lot more so into videography because there's a lot more, I mean, with the popularity of video and how you need video basically to promote yourself these days, a lot more clients are coming towards that. They want more video work, which is great for me. I love it. But overall, it's a lot of advertisements and handling social media accounts for people. That's the main thing that I'm doing right now.
That has to be time consuming but fun, right?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I'd say less on the handling social media accounts just because of all the work that goes into it. I mean, you think about social media and you just think, you just post something one day and you're good to go. But no, it's the whole planning period. You want to stay on brand. You want to make sure that you're putting out the right message. You want to make sure that you're posting the right time of day. You want to make sure that you're using the right hash. There's a million other things I could rattle off right now, and you still might not get it correct. So that's why social media is so hard. It's not as simple as just putting it out there because it's a free medium or a free way to advertise. It takes a lot of effort, and I think it's a good time to say that's why I think a lot of businesses get social media wrong is because they don't realize how much work it takes to actually become popular on social media, and not just followers wise. When it comes to getting popular with your audience, that's what it takes. You have to put in the research. You have to figure out who your current clients are and find people that are just like them to advertise to, but without putting money behind it if you want to be successful on social media. But then if you go to ads, of course, it's going to be a little easier because you can put money behind it, get it out to more people, a broader audience. But overall, yeah, it's the biggest thing right now that consumes my time is just social media and running advertisements, especially on Google for people right now.
Nice.
I'd say one of the more fun clients I've had is actually a veterinarian, I'd say. Do
you get to play with animals?
So I haven't gone and played with the animals. I've seen them. I've been to meetings with them and seen them and stuff. I know, right, dude? I know.
Missed opportunity.
I know, man. But no, it's fun because when I took them on, I didn't know much about veterinary space. I didn't know about advertising for veterinarians, so they kind of gave me a chance. And this was when my company was very new still, which is still new, but it was, I had just started basically. And after working with them for a year, the growth is insane. It's been pretty awesome, especially with their Google ads and their social media ads and just their content in general, and their message overall has been pretty awesome to see them grow and gain a lot more customers locally. So I'd say that's probably the most fun I've had with a client, just because I get to see results a lot, but here I guess it's different because they were kind of like the day ones for the most part. They were one of the day one clients I had.
They're going to have a special place in your heart regardless.
Exactly, yeah. Being one of the first three, I mean, it was awesome to see them grow now.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty awesome to be able to also, like, once you see that evolution, be able to, like, I did that. Yeah. I had a hand in that. Yeah.
They at least had a hand in it.
Yeah, you didn't do it because they still have to run a business, but you had a hand in bringing that attention and giving the opportunity to grow, especially with a smaller business, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So let's say I'm a brand new client.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a brand new client. Walk me through what that looks like. Brief overview, not obviously because people are going to be like, I could call him if I want more information, but kind of what does that look like?
So when it's a brand new client, I mean, the first thing's first going to be the meeting just to figure out who exactly the client is. So again, let's say you're a veterinarian. If your business is veterinary practice, we meet together via Zoom or in person or whatever. We're just going to talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
What is the business all about? What customers are you getting right now? Who do they look like? What is their socioeconomic background? Do they spend a lot of money or do they spend a little money when they come in? Do they get a lot of, I don't know, is there a lot of surgeries that come through your door? Or is there a lot of vaccinations? Just getting all the information so I actually know who they currently have and who they want to attract as far as the customer goes. Once we figure out that kind of stuff, then we're going to go into the planning period and figure out the kind of content that might resonate best with them based on other clients I've worked with that are in a similar industry, or based on just information that I pull to figure out, how can I attract the clients best through these practices, basically.
Building a portfolio for them specifically for their situation. Is that typically just you?
Yeah, so it's just me. Yep. Unless I do any type of contract work where it's like, since I'm not a photographer, it'd be a photographer coming in to do photos, or like a website designer. I do some websites, but I'm not, a full-on website designer or a coder or anything like that. So I'll have a website person come in and do a website for them. But yeah, majority of it is all me, basically.
Man, that's had to be a lot of time, energy, effort, and learning a lot going through it all.
Yeah.
Obviously, you went to school, you're professionally trained, but were
Exactly.
the aspects of that schooling that you had to figure out on your own? Like, obviously, the videography, you got better at it. But
school is maybe 5% of the process, man.
That's
honestly.
what I tell everybody.
And that's not to say, like, don't go to school or anything like that, but it is to say that whatever you learn in school really doesn't transfer to the real world.
I heard that with so many freaking things.
Yeah, I think school is great. And I think it's great because you learn how to be a functioning human being in society, honestly.
That is the intangible that people don't appreciate about actually the school experience. Like human interactions, learning how to navigate things, difficult situations. There are still like very much things that, the A's and all that are great. The grades are fantastic. But there's that, hey, I've ran into a situation where this class I'm struggling in. I need to get tutoring, communication skills, articulating yourself, seeking help, navigating that. Like, these are things and skills that you need later on in life.
You need them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because a lot of people say, when you go to school, they don't teach you about finances or how to.
They kind of do.
It's like, I mean, especially if you go to college and you're living on campus, I mean, you're learning how to fend for yourself. You're learning how to grocery shop for yourself or figure out how to pay the whatever the rent bill at your dorm or anything like that. I mean, you're figuring out a lot. So I think it's like I said, it's the real world experience that school has really given you. I think more so than just like the times tables and stuff like that people kind of take for granted, which are still very important.
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with a good friend. He's going to school for computer programming, computer science. He's a returning student, so he's older in life. And he said, it just frustrates me. I don't want to do anything but be a programmer, but why am I taking chemistry? I'm like, I usually have a good point against him because we do a lot of mental gymnastics. Yeah. We like to challenge each other because it makes us both better.
Someone to go back and forth with, Yeah, for sure.
We both agree. It's like, I enjoy it because it makes you see perspectives. I will always challenge my friends. If I don't challenge you, I probably don't like you.
That's fair.
If I don't challenge you. But I'd like to challenge my friends. And I was like, normally I have a rebuttal, but I can see where there's not, if you've made up your mind in life and you know exactly what you want, that you don't need the exposure to all these things. But where someone is going to college for the first time, how many times have people changed majors halfway through? How many people have found something else that they love because they were uncertain? And just making sure that you knew normal skill sets is important. But I could see where chemistry might not matter to someone who's going to be doing computer programming.
And you know what? Maybe it's for situations like that where people change their majors. Maybe they figured out that so many people change their majors per year. We'll throw in these random classes. Maybe it'll attract them to this random subject, and they'll pursue that instead. Something they're more. So I don't know. Maybe I feel like there might be a give and take when it comes to some of the class, because I know I took some classes that I didn't care about, like some history classes or stuff like science. I'm not really a science guy, but stuff like that. I think it was interesting though, and it was worth it in the end. Yeah. But at the time you're doing it, it might seem like a waste of money. Yeah. For sure.
But you knew right away journalism, marketing was the way to go.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely didn't know right away. I didn't know what I was going to school for. When I first started going to community college, I'm originally from Virginia. That's where I was raised. Not born, but that's where I was raised. And I went to a community college out there, had no idea what I was going to do. I think I started with business administration. I think I always had a hint of I knew I wanted to be a business owner down the road, but business administration was not my thing. And it was mostly because I gave up too early when it comes to the math and stuff like that, I always told myself I can't do math. I'm not good at math, whatever, which I know is not true. I just didn't want to put in the work. You don't want to
apply yourself?
Exactly.
Not to sound like a parent. You should apply yourself.
Oh, it's true. I didn't apply myself at all. So that's my fault. But even going to, MSUB, Montana State University Billings, I was like, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. The only reason I got into journalism was because there was an internship they were holding at the news station that I ended up working for. So I applied for this random internship while I was getting my degree. Mm-hmm. They accepted me. 3 months into the internship, they gave me a job. So I was like, yeah, sure. I guess this is my new path,
Well, way to fucking go.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Guys, we're going to take a really quick commercial break, refill our glasses, but when we get back, we're going to get to know Chaq a lot more and find out how he somehow stumbled upon a career path because he just found an internship. Be right back, guys.
Hey guys, here at the show, we ask that you follow 3 simple rules that'll save your night and possibly your dignity. Rule number 1, don't drink and drive. Seriously, Uber exists for a reason. If you wouldn't trust yourself to build IKEA furniture after 3 bourbons, you definitely shouldn't be behind the wheel. Rule number 2, avoid Amazon one-click buy. Drunk you thinks a medieval suit of armor is a great investment. Sober you, not so much. And then try to explain it to your credit card company then. And finally, rule number 3, do not text your ex. Look, they had their chance, and you deserve better. No one ever found happiness at the bottom of a 2 a.m. I miss you text. Move on, hydrate, and remember, you're better than that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Text literally anyone else. Text your Uber driver that you missed them, but not your ex. Seriously, all jokes aside, stay safe, do the right thing, and take care of yourselves. All right, guys, now back to the show.
Hi guys, we are back. So last we left our like the interview, I was gonna say our heroes, but that's like a D&D reference. We were talking to Chaq about how he ended up into the internship, turned into a job 3 months later, and then changed your major after that. Was that immediately like, hey, I'm everything's shifting? Mm-hmm. You just immediately after that, you're like, oh, hey, I'm here.
Pretty much. It was immediate. Yeah. I mean, so I don't know, man. School is. I think when you're 20, 21, whatever, you have no idea what you want to do with your life, and I don't think you should personally.
I agree.
Yeah, you should just be at a point where you're trying to figure yourself out. And I didn't get the normal dorm experience. I got married very early in life, so I didn't have the.
How long have you been married?
10 years now, going on that.
Oh, nice! Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So I didn't. Well, I've known my wife for 10 years, 9 years being married. Excuse me. Sorry.
She's gonna fuss at you when she sees that you weren't right.
Oh my god. But yeah. Anyway, I think people should just give themselves time. I think you need to experience things. You need to experience the world. You need to, travel if you can. If you have that ability to travel, you need to meet people, get in front of people that are into things that you're interested in, whether that be, for me, it was cars always. I love cars. So go to car shows, meet people that are into cars. Maybe you'll get a good opportunity doing some kind of mechanic's job or something that you really fall in love with. So my thing was, I never wanted to put too much stress on myself of what I wanted to do. But at the same time, I knew, being that I did get married so early, it was a little more pressure because I need to make money early. Yeah. I need to be a little more financially responsible, I guess.
You had to grow up fast.
Exactly.
You didn't have you really couldn't afford, not that you couldn't afford, but as a husband, provider, all that your focus was your future.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is 100%. Hey, that's fair. I think that's a great thing to do, especially getting married that young, doing all these things, having that focus, because it could have turned bad fast if you didn't focus up, right? Mm-hmm. And so I praise you on that, man. Having to make the decision to I buckle down and get it right, and seems to have been working.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, but at the same time, it was too early. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend getting married super early and then trying to figure out things from there. I recommend like getting to know who you are as a person yourself first, and then going out and figure out what you want to do. But for me, it worked out. It's okay for now. But yeah, after going to college and kind of figuring out, what exact path I wanted to take. Yeah. Again, I got hired at the news station, and it was something I did fall in love with pretty immediately. That was an amazing change for me. I didn't expect to be offered a job as a journalist with no experience in college still. Yeah. Especially just only 3 months as an intern, but it was crazy. It was pretty nice.
That's awesome.
And it gave me some really good experience again with interviewing and talking to people, and made new connections out there that I'll never forget, and good friends and everything. So it was an awesome time.
I commend that, especially once you locked in, you went for it 100%. You ended up running it. Now you're running your own company, obviously, which in its own is a fantastic feat to just be doing that on your own. And because typically people, like you said, you have people that you outsource because they're the subject matter experts, right? And your time is valuable. Would you rather spend your time creating not a subpar, but not as good product where someone else has the expertise? Or you could reinvest your time in the stuff in the actions and the items that you're really good at and honed in on. So giving your customers a quality product and understanding where you are, that's a fantastic thing to know in a year at least.
Yeah, no, it is. It's been great, man. Again, I'm just glad I took the leap to do it, honestly, because I was the type of person where I've wanted to start a business for a long time. This wasn't the first thing I tried to start and just succeeded. Definitely not. That's not how it worked. I'd been trying to start a lot of business, like t-shirt companies and lawn mowing companies and stuff like that, just to figure out what exactly I want. My history is kind of all over the place. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, we're gonna get into it.
Yeah, for sure. But but it took time to build up the confidence to actually build this business, go through all the paperwork and the legality stuff to actually get the business approved and legal to get paid, and then to market it. It was all a ton of hurdles that I had to go through, a ton, because I'm kind of one of those people that's never 100% confident in themselves.
A little bit of imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but I think it's so interesting that I'm older than you, but my generation to your generation, there's a lot of imposter syndrome. There's a lot driven there through social media and just everyone. Now, visually, you could always see someone be successful in what seems to be a heartbeat. But to your point, you did a lot. The path to success wasn't linear. Mm-hmm. You went through a lot of jumps, turns, like you fell a couple times. I'm sure things didn't go where you expected them to be, and you just kept pushing. But people only commend you once you've already gotten there.
It's true.
Yeah,
true.
That's the point.
True.
I was like, oh my God, you're doing so well. I've been trying for 5 years.
Yep.
I've been trying for some time. Come on, man. It wasn't easy.
Exactly. And I still got a long way to go.
This is still a year.
Still young. I got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But imposter syndrome on that point, I don't think that's avoidable at all, honestly, especially in today's day and age. Like you said, with all the images of success that we see all the time, social media is crazy. Yeah. Everybody's always looking at what they don't have. I do it all the time. I always want something, and I got to tell myself to stop like saying I want this or I want that, because you don't need it, But again, it's when you see so much success online, when it's so easy and so tangible these days, because it's right on your phone. I think those feelings are just unavoidable at this point.
Oh, I completely agree. I think that it's easy to go down a path like that. Doom scrolling is one of the worst things, and I will be the first to tell you I've been guilty of it, especially when I'm looking for more ideas for concepts or reels or something, trying to find inspiration from others. Mm-hmm. I could see quickly when you start seeing someone doing a fantastic job at something that you are only a quarter of the way getting there. Yeah. And it's like, shit, man. And then you start doubting, not realizing that person didn't start that way. Or that person paid someone to do that for them.
Exactly.
There is a certain skill set. There's certain things that everything online is filtered, sift through and rosied up a little bit before it gets presented. You don't get to see the bloopers, which is part of the reason why in the show I make it a point to say I'm not an expert, so I'm going to mess up a lot, and I want you guys to be there for me and learn and get better with me. So, so I commend it, and we will get more into all of those career paths. But I do think is another thing that I was going to say about the imposter syndrome thing. Mm-hmm. It is crazily common with anyone that is starting something new. Yeah. And with that being said, there's a certain aspect of people. We talked to our friend Tony. He does music for Hollywood movies, all this. He's brought up that the newer generation of like directors, business owners, people who are now clients, actually seek out people like you and I because we have an understanding of where they're coming from. Yeah. So when they might feel insecure in what they're doing, like, I don't know, what do you think, blah, blah, they could be more vulnerable as opposed to going to someone like who's a 80-year vet who's been doing this forever. They're like, hey, look, I don't know, this is where I'm at. What do you think? Yeah. And they're genuinely looking for someone who's invested in like also making it successful because they want to be successful, where for someone else who is very sure, very like, this is what you should do because it'll work, and not a single bit of like insecurity, isn't going to give them a true, honest product. They're going to give them cookie cutter and linear, and it's going to work.
Absolutely.
So there's something to be commended and desired in the person who doubts themselves, which is weird.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a good way to put it. I didn't think about that. That's a good way to put it, though. I think that's very true. And I think, what was this quote I heard recently? I think this isn't the same exactly, but it's like the quiet ones are the ones that have the most to say. And it kind of translates, but, I feel like the people that kind of tend to hold back and wait a little more, maybe aren't the ones that initially see all the success, but they are the ones I feel like longevity-wise maybe have more of an ability to really succeed in the long term. Mm. I don't know. Maybe scratch that. I don't know if that's true either.
I know. So I'll make the hood joke. It's like fast money ain't quick money isn't real money.
Yeah.
Like the flash in the pan, like I can get this like quick success isn't mean it's real longevity. Isn't going to be something that's tangible. Isn't going to be something they really care about. Yeah. Or someone like you who's been taking the time. This is something you care about. You did this major. I'm sure every client that you work with sees that in everything you do, and the fact that you don't necessarily think that you're the ish
Yeah.
Which is just imposter syndrome. We doubt ourselves. I doubt myself.
Sure.
I'll be the first person to tell you. I don't always think I'm putting out the best product.
For sure.
He's going to make sure that we put out really good product when we do.
Yeah.
As opposed to someone's like, no, this will be fine.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, that's the big thing too, is like when it comes to someone new in business or anything like that, I think it's okay to have imposter syndrome, but at the same time, you don't always have to be able to, you don't have to put the best product out all the time. And it sounds weird. You don't always have to be putting out the best possible thing. If you're in marketing, if you're a videographer or whatever, it's really customer service is a lot of that, you know, because people can understand where you're coming from. They know you're not a professional based on, you know, the age of your business or anything like that. They know you're starting out.
You are a professional, just not experienced, not tenured. You're still a professional.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to give you credit where you didn't say it.
Well, yeah, I wasn't really talking about myself in that, but yeah.
But still.
You're right. You're right. That's a really good point. You are a professional. You're just not experienced as experienced. Mm-hmm. But that's really good. I mean, I think that's fine though. I don't think you have to try to be or act like you're someone more, or, you know, just tell people what your skill set is, give them a fair price, and like do the work and just be a good business owner. You know, just be good to people and give them updates every step of the way. And I think that goes way further than just the product that you put out.
I would agree. Yeah. I think some of my favorite places I spend my money at, bars, restaurants, all that, it's more about the staff, the people there, the personalities behind it, the people that I can trust. And I know that when they put out a bad product, they tell me, hey, look, this isn't my best, so don't worry about it. I was like, no. I support local. Give me the full bill. Don't worry. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, we don't do that. We don't do that here. I came here for a reason. Like, don't do that. You could ask anyone, like my favorite bartenders, bar managers, and the places I frequent. They're like, "Hey man, don't worry about no, I'm paying you. Like, give me whatever the bill is. I got it. Like, the point in this is for us to all grow.
Yep.
And I'd much rather go to them than a franchise that has it perfect, but it's also cookie cutter and not personal. So, whatever. We're going to pour something else up, take another quick break, hydrate because it's hot as hell in here. For those who are watching the video, I apologize. I don't normally glisten like this, but it's like that. It's just we're in the back of a beautiful distillery that doesn't have AC because it shouldn't back here.
Yeah.
Love you, Chris.
It'll work.
Be right back.
Sponsor of Bourbon and Bullshit, Big Bang Boom Collective is Orlando's burlesque and cabaret entertainment group comprised of Midnight Fables Cabaret, Big Bang Boom Cabaret, and Foxy's Den. Follow us on Instagram at Big Bang Boom Collective or join our VIP email list for info on upcoming shows by visiting www.bigbangboomcollective.com.
All right, guys, we are back with Chaq. I didn't mean to rhyme, I promise you. So Chaq, all right, so we dug a little bit into what got you into Updraft Marketing, the clients that you've worked with, the vet, which I would love for at the end, if you want to give them a shout out, feel free to, I don't mind.
For sure.
But tell us about the other side, Iconic Insights podcasting.
Yeah.
So that's with a partner. Tell us all about that and what brought that up, because I know you interviewed Christian.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
Wait, say that. Sorry, is it what?
You interviewed Christian Lugo was it in?
Okay,
Iconic?
so for that one, that was actually the Locals podcast.
That Locals, not
with Christian. Yep.
Right, cool. So let's do Iconic, then we'll do the Locals.
Absolutely, yeah. So Iconic Insights was kind of a passion project, man. So I met this guy. His name's David. He's my co-host for that podcast, and we just kind of hit it off. You know, clicked. We were pretty much synced on a lot of the issues we talked about, a lot of the directions we wanted to go if we were to create a podcast, how we wanted to start it, what we wanted to look like, all this stuff. We were pretty in sync on that. So we were just like, let's just do it. We met up for coffee one day and we're just like, let's just do a podcast. We have good chemistry together and we can talk to each other. It's easy. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we started a podcast called Iconic Insights. And what it is, basically, it's all about interviewing celebrities and professional athletes or anyone like that that's well known, has some status to them, I guess you could say.
Someone iconic.
Exactly. And just talking about them, their journey, and how other people can kind of take the tidbits of information that they offer and kind of turn that into how they want to, make their own life, how they want to build their own, career towards a professional athlete or professional singer or anything like that. So that's the whole basis of the podcast, really. It's just to get those iconic insights, quite literally, and put them out there for people to listen to. And we want it to be different from just any other podcast. We want it to be more of like a TV show, I guess you could say.
Yeah, almost like a documentary style interview.
Exactly. So you seem like you're watching a show. We have our little intro, outro, stuff like that. So that's it's a fun project right now. We're really trying to get to the nitty gritty of who these people are, and it's kind of been cool to meet those people too.
How often do you release those episodes?
Those episodes are coming out every week.
Every week.
Yep.
Nice, man. Who have you had on so far, just for the people at home watching?
Yeah, for sure. So far, we've had on a WWE wrestler, AJ Amaran. We've had on another WWE wrestler named Bailey. We've had on a former professional Super Bowl champion NFL player. His name is, now I'm forgetting his name. This is bad. Let's cut that.
Minute 39.
Oh, dude. You put me on the spot. Jeez.
All right. Who else other than the Super Bowl champion have you had on?
We just did another one with Landry Ward. He's a MMA fighter, a professional MMA fighter. Another one, Mitch McGee. He's another MMA fighter. We've had on Miss Florida recently, Peyton.
I saw that.
Yeah, she's really cool. She's awesome, which is a great episode. BJ, excuse me, was the NFL player.
There
My
we
bad.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Sorry, BJ.
Yeah, sorry about that. But we've had on, a few people now. I think we're up to about 8-9 episodes right now.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So when you give kind of like that behind the veil look and perspective of these individuals, is it like? I'm just curious for those at home. Is it surface level questions? Do you get deeper? Like how do those interviews typically get?
Yeah, so we're trying to go pretty deep. We're trying to figure out, what their background is before this, who their family is. Who encouraged them to get to the point where they are today, and just all the trials and tribulations they faced along the way for the most part. With any of these athletes or any of these wrestlers or well-known individuals, there's always going to be a ton of things that they've had to go through, a ton of obstacles that they've had to get over. So that's what we're trying to figure out, not just the easy questions about why are you so great at what you do? No, it's more so, really what got you here, because there's going to be people that watch any of these episodes that we put out so far and be like, I want to do that, but I have no idea how to do it.
Almost like a motivational and informational at the same time.
Exactly. We're trying to give people some legit information to figure out how they can, be more successful and, maybe not go to the exact path those people did, but at least go on their own journey and figure out how to be more successful on their own journey.
What attracts you to picking those people as guests? Is it something like?
Yeah, so I think it's right now, we're really just picking anybody right now. There's really no rhyme or reason. Anyone that has a really big following or is a professional in their sport or
someone who's been successful in their
exactly
role.
Anyone that's very successful in what they do right now, because we're still small. The podcast is not big or anything. It's still pretty small. So my co-host David has some really great connections all around, and he's able to get in front of a lot of these people. He's worked with a lot of people that have these huge followings or these professionals in their industry. So it's been great working with him because he knows how to get them in there.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's a really cool concept, especially when you say it about like the path to success, because we talked about it earlier with imposter syndrome and everything to that effect. It's a scary path. Yeah. And people just see the win. So getting behind the veil of what got them there, the injuries, the failures, the being like if you're the NFL player, being traded, no longer being a Super Bowl like a contender, like being out of the league, what happens after the league, getting to get that perspective, especially in Florida. And I'm gonna be very honest, Florida pulls out a bunch of football players. Yeah. So to get that behind the scenes interview with someone who isn't behind like an ABC camera or an NBC camera or something high where you can't be as honest as you would like to be, getting kind of like the real raw story is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It's cool to see, but it's also been, I think, it's been pretty crazy for me to be able to meet those people. Because, obviously before the cameras start rolling, we have entire conversations and you do really, it's cliche to say because I feel like everyone says this, but they are just normal people at the end of the day. They're normal people, and they go through the same things we do. But they've just been incredibly successful in what they're doing.
That's dope.
So it's really cool to meet them and kind of see behind the scenes, like you said, and just meet these people on a personal level more so than just, what you see on TV or anything like that. So
that's awesome. I had a friend, we just interviewed him. He's a friend now. David Lawrence, he's an ultra marathoner. He's a photographer, professional photographer. He did a whole photography session with Steve-O from Jackass. He did one with the original cast of the first Blair Witch. He's done all these things. And the thing that we discussed is like, these people want to be treated normal. They don't want you to act like a fanboy. They don't want you to act like any other way. They just want to be treated like normal human beings when they're in this intimate moment with you.
Yep.
So when someone's sitting down for an interview, all that, they don't want to be treated random. They just want to have a normal conversation, do a normal thing, and not be frustrated, especially when you're like in these situations. And I think there's a lot of value in understanding that because you glorify these, because not you, but in general, we glorify these celebrities and we only see like, oh my God, their life must be so great, blah, blah. Imagine that you can't even go to the store without being like pummeled by photographers.
Yep.
Imagine like everything you do is under a microscope and people don't even know 90% of what actually happened. Like, imagine all this and then find yourself in a situation where you are begging to just be treated like a normal human being. I understand that. Like, when we talked about that, that makes a lot of, like, I've always realized that, hey, these are just people. They all go through the same trials and tribulations. I mean, some have bigger trials, Diddy, but other stuff like that.
Yeah, I got you.
Like they just want to be treated normal to the most part. So I'm glad you got to get those experiences and seeing those, even if they might not have been like sports and things that you might have been related to. Like, were you a professional wrestling fan before? Was this just something that kind of?
Yeah, not wrestling. I've always been in the NFL though. You know, I love football.
Who's your team?
So Pittsburgh, for sure. I'm a Steelers fan all the way.
Interview's over.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a Ravens fan.
I was going to say Jets, man. What are you talking
about? God, no. So born and raised in New York,
Okay.
but when I played football in high school, I was playing defense, and I knew nothing about football.
Okay.
And my coach said it was during the year of the Bullies of Baltimore. And Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, all that. He's like, if you want to see real defense, watch the Ravens. And I'm like, who the fuck are the Ravens?
Yeah.
And I watched them. I was like, I don't know who these guys are.
Yep.
But they're my official team from here
That was
on
in
out.
the Ray Lewis days probably too, wasn't it?
Ray Lewis, Ed Reed.
Yeah.
They got like a bunch of fucking. That's the year they won with Trent Dilfer as their quarterback.
Oh man, that was when we hated the Ravens.
You should have,
just because they were always whooping our ass. That's
they
how
were
it
whooping
was.
everyone's
Every
ass.
time. Yep. No, but yeah, man, Pittsburgh all day. Always been a Pittsburgh fan.
What do you think about this Aaron Rodgers shit?
So the Steelers need help right now, honestly. And I think it's a lot of it's the head coach, but they need help. So I'm really hoping. I don't care who the quarterback's going to be. I just hope it's someone that knows how to play football.
You think a lot of it's the head coach? You don't think Tomlin's good?
So I think Tomlin was good for sure. I think the Steelers are a team that is so stuck on. This is not the right way to put it, but nostalgia, for lack of a better term.
No.
They've only had 3 head coaches, so it's like, is it 3? I think it's 3. I'm pretty sure. Ooh, correct me if I'm wrong. Someone fact check that. But it's a very low number of head coaches.
Yeah, and all of them have long tenures.
Yeah, they've been there forever. And that's how the Steelers are. Everyone stays around for a super long time. I think Tomlin was really good at one time. When he first came there for like the first probably like 8 seasons, he was pretty incredible, but that was because he came with a winning team. He inherited a winning team.
Yes.
Big Ben, everybody, Troy Polamalu still, like everybody was still on that team.
Hines Ward.
Yeah. Well, Hines Ward kind of.
Yeah, towards the end, but he also got AB.
Yeah.
He got Le'Veon Bell.
Exactly.
Plaxico Burress.
Yep. Oh, Plaxico. Those were the days, man.
Martavius Bryant.
Yep.
At the height of his thing. Juju at the height of his career.
Yeah, Smith-Schuster is awesome. So, but still, it's like he inherited a winning team. They came off wins already. So I think he did what he could with them. But once Roethlisberger left, I feel like that team fell apart completely.
I have really strong feelings about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're not as negative as you think they might be.
Like, what are those feelings?
I think that they're a victim of their own success. They will never be bad enough to get a high draft pick.
Yeah.
But they'll never be good enough to win the chip with who they have.
That's so true.
So a lot of these
100%.
teams, cool, Joe Burrow and got to the Super Bowl because their team was horrible and they were able to draft Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase a year later.
Yep.
Like,
exactly.
yeah, you had to be really bad to get really good.
Yep.
I mean, even Patrick Mahomes has arguably the best offensive-minded coach of all time, and his wide receiver core is what? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have he had maybe Xavier Worthy for a little bit, Rashee Rice maybe for a little bit.
Exactly.
He has the remnants of Hollywood Brown. He had the ghost of DeAndre Hopkins. Like, he didn't have, like, the star-studded. He had Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back. Like, that's not these teams that are, but Pittsburgh Steelers specifically, I think that they are a fantastically run team, but for them to get to over the hump, They have to have 2 really bad seasons.
Yeah, they
which
do.
would mean Mike Tomlin would lose his job.
Yeah.
So would he willingly lose his job to make the team better? Probably not. But when you really think about the talent, come on, they had a winning season with Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and whoever else was around.
Yeah, I mean, but they always have a winning season.
He's a victim of his own success.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's so
they're,
true.
They're still beating teams like the Ravens.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, but it's always a question.
Yeah.
When they go in, they could beat any team on a good day. They could beat any team.
Mm-hmm.
So Pittsburgh Steelers piss me off because they always find fantastic wide receiver talent, running back talent with like the breadcrumbs that everyone else ignores.
Exactly.
And they could have anyone at quarterback and somehow get a winning season.
Yep. They lose to the worst teams, though.
Yes.
They lose to the worst, and they somehow miraculously beat some of the best teams.
They play to their competition.
There you go.
Where a good quarterback and a good leader would make them play at that elevated level all the time.
Yes, exactly.
So they're victim of their own. That's why I think they're a victim of which pisses me off because
Yeah.
I don't want to root for them, but I want to root for Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
I want to. We could get into the like whole political stance of like political standpoint, and not the politics, but the politics of football, not like like those, but where I root for a black coach,
Yeah.
a minority coach. I root for them.
Yeah, and don't
Period.
get me wrong.
I'm not saying
I
you
want
don't.
him to be successful.
Oh no, I'm not saying
I
you
do.
don't. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you don't, but I'm saying even as a Ravens fan, there's a part of me that's like, no, I still want Mike Tomlin to do well.
Yeah.
And I could be honest about. I want to be honest about that. Like I'm rooting for him. One, I like him. Even his no nonsense style is like, we lost. What the fuck? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what do you think was the last point? It was like, how the person got the push, sneak. It was like QB sneak or something. What were you thinking? He's like trying not to let them score. Next question. I don't know what you want. I like the no nonsense. He shuts stuff down. When a wide receiver gets shipped out of there, you know they're a problem.
Yeah. No,
Deontay
for sure.
Johnson, like I like him and I want to
Yeah.
root for him, but I also want to root for as a minority success. And
No,
I don't
that's
ever
fair.
mean to break it down to that.
No, it's
But
fair. It's fair. I think that's a good point, though.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I say a lot of the times that I think a lot of it has to do with Tomlin, just because a lot of the play calling.
But his offensive coordinators have been trash. Arthur Smith is trash.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. But he has a lot of that. He has a lot of those decisions, too. I hold the head coach very accountable for the
100%.
team, for sure.
I get it.
But I don't know. We never know the politics behind the scenes.
That's what I was going to
I'm sure the Rooneys are an easy team to head coach for,
No.
to be honest.
Because Kenny Pickett was not the choice.
No.
Everyone said from the beginning wasn't the choice.
Yeah.
This is all going to be extra features for everyone at home who's like, oh, this is not in the full version. Yeah. Because football talk is not related. But no, 100%. Like, I don't think it's the easiest team to head coach, especially with that much experience. But I root for you guys when you're not playing me. I want you to just
Fair.
beat others because I don't like Joe Burrow. But that's for another day.
Yeah. I'd rather root for the Ravens than Cincinnati, so I'm okay with that.
Do you want another drink? I will buy you another drink.
Yeah, right.
Can someone get him a drink, please?
Right. Let's just get Cincinnati out of there and we're good. Or the Browns.
Oh,
but the
man.
Browns, you never have to worry about them.
I don't worry about them
they're
because
okay.
they do it to themselves. Even when they had Baker, who's winning with the Bucks, they're like, "Oh, let's get rid of him and
Yeah.
get a rapist." Listen, but I don't root for Cincinnati at any point. So you talk a lot about your history and what you got here, but we kind of not talk. We glimpsed over. You ran your own companies and own businesses. Can you tell us a little bit about that, like just briefly?
Okay, so I glanced at, so I didn't
You
run.
glanced over it.
Yeah.
Because we were on that same question, but I'm like, I got to know.
So I didn't run those. My wife will tell you I have a lot of ideas.
Okay.
Just a ton of ideas. So I've thought of the idea of, putting together some kind of lawn mowing business or like insert 20 other business ideas I've had over the years. And it's what we were talking about earlier was that imposter syndrome. And really the big thing was following through.
Mm-hmm.
This Updraft Marketing, my marketing agency, was the first business that I really was able to follow through with and really take it the full length.
Okay.
I've had a lot of ideas and, loosely put them into practice and tried to make something out of them. But this was the first one where I was like, and I think it's based on skill set. I know what I can do. I know my abilities. So I'm actually going to make this happen.
That's fair.
So I haven't done a lot of businesses and failed and lost a lot of money or anything like that. But the big thing was,
Even if you did, there's no judgments here.
Not like that. But yeah, no, definitely. I'm glad this is the first one I've really taken seriously.
That's
that was the big thing. So
yeah. And I think that's important. What I think is interesting is, though, that you thought about these other businesses before you went into what you already were trained at.
Yeah.
What was the specific reason for that?
That's true.
Yeah, like why? Like, because you said, I thought about these ideas, I thought about these companies, and I thought about that.
Yeah.
What made you want to explore something you weren't classically trained at? Or is this the first time someone's asked you that?
No, I think the big thing was probably... I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier before the break. I think it was a lot of that. You're seeing something on social media, so you want to just make it happen for yourself. You're seeing people have all the success with whatever it be, YouTube or different business ventures or anything like that, and you want to have that for yourself. So I think a lot of what my initial business ideas were strictly businesses that are more so cash grabs, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wanted to just do something and see if I could make money doing it, but I wasn't passionate about it. Yeah. And if you're not passionate about it, in my opinion, it's not going to work long term.
1,000%.
Yeah. So
I agree with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just doing things that on paper might seem like they could make money, but at the same time, it wasn't for me, you know? So I'm glad I didn't go forward with it or just lose money for no reason doing it. Because now this is more of a passion project. I love marketing. I love what I do. I love helping clients get to where they want to get. It's just so much more long-term for me. It's easier for me to actually do these projects with clients now. Yeah,
I think it makes sense, obviously. Yeah, and I would agree with you. There's a big... Clients know. Yeah. Patrons know. People who buy your product know. There was a quote. I forget the exact details. And please, before someone at home fact checks me, I don't have this stuff right now. We're in the moment. We're in the moment. It was a quote along the lines of, do what you love and the money will come. Because people can tell when you're just doing something for everyone else because you're not doing it right. If you try to keep everyone happy, I'll equate it to like you're making a soup. Hey, I really like spicy soup. All these ingredients coming from all these different, like all these chefs. Everyone's like saying this and this and this. Now you've made an amalgamation of trash because you're not going to be able to keep everyone happy. But if you make something you love, put passion, put your foot in, and people are going to be like, I loved it. Like, I appreciate that. The right people will attract themselves to it. Yep. And when we talked about when you're part of your process and understanding that people who try to make their own social media and do all these things don't always understand the audiences and target audiences they should be leaning at. I'll use myself as an example. I saw a lot more success in clicks and reels and everything like that when I started making cocktail recipes. I started making little 1.5-minute reels or whatever about making my jokes, making my cocktails, and making them palatable for the common person. I'm not a professional bartender, so I shouldn't present myself as. I'm not. There you go. Like I should, and I don't. I never have. But like the cocktails I make and things I make are for people at home and seeing. I've never made this on my own, and I want to be able to learn how to. When you see this giant cinematography for all these, like, what you want to do is a cold foam that's expressed with olive oil and distilled and sous vide. And I was like, sous vide. Meanwhile, I was like, hey, man, just get boiling water.
Seriously.
And that got more hits because I didn't, it surprised me. And then when I sat there, I was like, I'm not understanding my audience. The people who are resonating with me know that I'm not a professional. I shouldn't present myself as such. Yeah. And that was something that I'm sure when we go through this process and you go through all that with your clients, you think about, and it just kind of brings you back to that where it's like, know yourself, do the thing you're passionate about. I fuck around at home with alcohol and drinks and cocktails. I made that because I started making these videos because I enjoyed them. Yep. And people were flocking to that. When I was trying to do the traditional over the top, like, I found this in a book somewhere, blah, blah, less hits. Less stuff. Hey guys, I got really bored and everyone's doing this Hucktua lady thing and someone sent me a cocktail recipe. We're going to make it and I'm going to be pissed about it because I don't want to make this drink, but I'm making it as you sent it to me. Like 5,000 views in like the first like day. I'm like, you guys are wild.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's all about that. It's all about what your audience wants.
Yeah. I was like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, this is fun to y'all. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll have fun. And the fact that I said, I don't know what you guys are doing. This is what you guys want. I'll give it to you. Made it funnier for them. Mm-hmm. I was like, but as a person who's creating content, it's part of my gig. But for someone who's a business owner, you might not pay attention to those things. So your skill set's going to be so useful to them. So just kind of bringing that kind of full circle to what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, man. No, you're spot on with that. Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Knowing your audience is the first step. That's the first step. Like I said, every meeting, it's really getting down to who your audience currently is and who you want it to be.
Exactly. So. And sometimes who you were hoping would be isn't where it ends up.
Yeah.
Like, I was really hoping to track this. Like, well, you're not. You're really, really heavily getting these hits. It's like, really? Oh. All right, cool. We'll do that then.
Exactly. There you go.
All right. So one of the things I also realized about you, a lot of community engagement, because even when you're like Updraft, your locals, your insights, this is community engagement. You roll at Lakeland Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. How did that influence your perspective on local businesses and their development?
So,
because I'm assuming that also gives you insight, like
oh yeah, for
and
sure.
perspective.
Yeah. So
Because that's a big thing we should also talk about. You didn't bring it up in your like storyline about how you got it.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. But yeah, I did work at the Lakeland Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
I was the communication director there, communication and marketing, basically.
Translate that for people at home.
Yeah. So basically, what communication is, let's just be clear. I am not a communication professional. That is not what my degree was in specifically. It was communications, media studies, marketing, blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't call myself a communications professional still.
Yeah.
But basically what communications is exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's getting communications out, whether it's internal or external from a company that you work for. So if it's internal, that can mean basically relaying all information to every employee about what's going on within the company, keeping them updated on this, that, and the third. External would be drafting copy, drafting social media content that resonates best with people. I don't know. There's a multitude of ways to explain external communication.
Yeah.
It's just everything that's going outward facing to a company.
Yeah. So you worked for the Lakeland Chamber of Commerce.
The Lakeland Chamber of Commerce, yeah.
And how long was that stint for?
I was there for about a year and a half, I want to say.
And how did that translate into how you kind of approach the marketing for the locals and everything like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it translated in a lot of ways. It's really interesting to see. I don't even know if I'd call it behind the scenes, but it technically is behind the scenes of all these businesses.
Yeah.
Because for anyone that doesn't know, the Chamber of Commerce is an entity that basically supports all local community businesses. Mm-hmm. They help create networking events. They help get them together and help them get better. What am I thinking of? The word I'm thinking of. Legislation, excuse me, that helps push businesses forward in the community. So seeing like everything that happens in the background was pretty awesome, and meeting these business owners. Through those meetings, I have gotten clients for my own business through those connections that I've made. And wow, yeah, I think it, in a nutshell, I would say it did a lot for me. It did a lot for me to see that side of things. It did a lot for me to understand how business really works, so I could actually put that into practice with my own business.
Yeah, I feel like that gives you the ingredients and formula to understand, because when you approach clients, it's like, hey, I already know what it takes to run your business. Yeah, because you have very direct knowledge of that.
Yep, I've been through so many business help seminars and. The chamber would have so many different talks and seminars about how to be a better business owner and how to pay your employees better, or work with employees better, or all this stuff. So I've been through all those meetings just because I work there, so I could just go to all these meetings and get all this information and hear all the talks about the community and how the business community is doing this year or that year, and it was an amazing experience overall, I'll say. Like, it gave me a lot of inside knowledge, and it's probably part of the reason why I decided to just go ahead and start my own business.
I feel like you've been set down this path. Mm-hmm. A lot of work, and a lot of effort, but like, you have the ingredients of making a perfect perfect company.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah, no, hey, wait, we're rooting for you. Like, remember this episode. So when you make it big and you're big and fancy. No,
absolutely.
There was one time I was in this local BS podcast. What's the biggest opportunities you see for small businesses in Lakeland? Because Lakeland is one of, like, I did minor research. I didn't do a bunch of research. It's an up and coming community and area, right? Because a lot of people who work in Orlando don't want to travel, don't want to live in Orlando. So you're seeing areas like Claremont blow up, Lakeland blow up, Winter Haven blow up.
Winter Haven, yeah.
So people are willing to commute now because Orlando's becoming super expensive to live in, monitor all that. But that also then attracts businesses to keep that money local. What do you see as a great opportunity for these smaller businesses and these up and comers?
So what I would say is that for Lakeland specifically, for all the reasons you said, because it's growing exponentially. It's crazy. And it's getting more, even in the 5 years I've been here, it's been so much more crowded every year.
Yeah.
It's insane. But back on that subject, what I would say about the opportunities wise is that the community of Lakeland rallies around something new like I've never seen any other community do. Anywhere I've lived before, never seen it before.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Like, people are passionate about supporting other businesses in Lakeland. And there might be some side politics in different groups and stuff like that where
There's little cliques.
There always is.
Yeah.
But still, for the most part, what I've seen is that people like to rally around things. So if you're someone that's trying to create a business and you can make it interesting, it's a cool business, it's a different idea. Like, I know there's like a new donut shop, which people are going crazy about. There's a new speakeasy in Lakeland, which people
What's
are going
the
crazy.
donut shop?
I think it's called Parlor Donuts.
I'm about to hit them up when we leave here.
Yeah,
I got time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But there's new speakeasies, there's live music venues, there are all this stuff, and people go crazy about it. You know, so I would say the opportunity is just there. If you're new, the opportunity is there. Now, if you're a business that's been around for a while, the opportunity is still there, but you have to figure out how to expose yourself to those people.
And that's where Updraft Marketing comes in.
Well, yeah, that definitely is where Updraft Marketing comes in. But it's also, even if you're on your own, it's where, I mean, with all the colleges, there's so many people coming to college here, like Florida Southern and SEU. So the younger
UCF. People will still go to UCF.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the younger generation's definitely in Lakeland. So it's really just connecting with them. You know, if you're a business that's been around for a while and you're into that old school mentality or that mom and pop mentality, I would just say get on social media and start putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And realize that your business in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter anymore. This is what I tell a lot of my clients, is that your business really doesn't matter as much as you think it does. What really matters is you. Because people don't invest in businesses, they invest in the person. So you have to put yourself out there and you have to be personable, relatable, be yourself.
Be vulnerable.
Exactly. Once you're vulnerable, I can guarantee, I don't care what business you do. I don't care if you're in insurance or if you're a car salesman. If you be personal, exactly, yeah. If you put yourself out there, you're going to be more successful in whatever business you have. Because people want to invest in a person, they don't want to invest in just a building. You know.
No, I agree with you, and I think that we as consumers are constantly seeking that out.
Yeah.
Kind of some personal connection. You see how quickly people will not chase a franchise. Franchises are great, whatever. Yeah. Like something recognizable is great. You're in Texas and you don't know where to eat. Well, actually, not Texas because there's a bunch of barbecue. You're in the middle of I don't know, fucking Baton Rouge. And you don't know exactly where you're not going to go to fucking Popeyes. Sorry for that. You're not going to go somewhere, but you're going to go somewhere new and exciting and different that's been somewhere highlighted at some point. And I find myself gravitating toward those businesses with personality, those individual situations. You get to know the owner, you get to know their story, you get to know all that. You do that with your locals. You do that with iconic, because especially you've been doing it so very local. And you're right. I think there's a lot of room for growth in Lakeland.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the frankest way I can say it, because those people who are commuting to Orlando to work might also stay at Orlando bars, might stay at also established Orlando restaurants. Giving Lakeland those avenues and those restaurants, those speakeasies, those bars, those athletic communities, things like that. Because athletic community is one of the things that we highlight as well on the show, like Run BMT and a couple of the sponsors. We talk about CrossFit. It becomes that community.
Yeah,
building that community in Lakeland, I think, is a fantastic, under-tapped. I wish I could make something here.
Dude, there's so much opportunity here. Like you said, untapped. There's so much untapped opportunity here.
So you think the first things first is focus on who you are.
Yeah.
Establish yourself and be vulnerable.
Yeah. So right now in this day and age, 2025, you can't have a brand without having a personal brand. You just can't. Yeah. It's impossible. Okay. Not it's impossible, but the point I'm trying to make, it's basically impossible. Yeah. I think, especially if you're a one man like I am in my business, it's impossible to have my brand without my personal brand. But even if you have 50 employees, I still think that without a personal brand, you're missing a huge opportunity to market to your personal audience about your business.
Yeah.
No,
please.
No, it's just, you're just missing opportunities. And I think it's worth it for more business owners to maybe seek out training when it comes to speaking better on camera, or to seek out training when it comes to putting themselves out there, getting in the community, networking, and actually showing themselves as the face of their company, more so than just being the people that stay in the background.
Yeah.
Or even if you do want to stay in the background, choose someone in your company that can stay up front and that can be that voice of the company. Because like I said before, man, it's so much easier that I've seen with my own clients to be the face of the company and give someone a reason to invest in your company, more so than just the service or the product that you provide.
Yeah, that's a fantastic message to these organizations and these smaller companies. And I want to see mom and pops succeed.
Yeah,
I so wholeheartedly want to. There's a yeah, we have our generations, but there's a whole sect of people who want the whole vintage mom and pop, like old school frame of mind. There's a consumer for every brand, for every kind of like market, but you just have to be out there. You have those, I joke because I have hipster friends, like those hipsters, like, oh, I listen to this underground music at this bar and off the beaten path. That bar could seem grungy as possible, one of the most successful businesses possible.
Yep.
Because they know their crowd, they lean into it, they gave their personal style, and they just kept it going.
Exactly.
And so it's not about like, oh, who has the fanciest lighting and space. And no, understand who you are, build that personal connection, and just like hone in.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Just stay on brand after that.
Fantastic.
You know?
I love that, man. And Shaq, I love that you just elegantly broke it down. So if you're in Lakeland and you're trying to build, hit up Shaq because he obviously knows what the hell he's talking about.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Last break, and then when we get through it, we're going to close out. But guys, I hope you guys are enjoying so far. But I'm going to get really deep in a moment. Be right back.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you in part by Coach John Estrada of Run BMT Training, longtime supporter of the show and an absolute beast on pavement. And for the record, this man just crushed the LA Marathon. And if you're looking to level up your running game, John's the coach to get you there. That's John with no H. Trust me, he's going to correct you. Whether you're training for your first 5K or tackling a full marathon, Run BMT, the coach is there, and John will have you running smarter, faster, and injury-free. So if you need expert coaching, hit up John at blackmattertraining.com and tell him I sent you. Now, he might not give you a discount, but he will make you a better runner. Again, that's John at blackmattertraining.com. Now let's get back to it. Thanks, guys.
Hi guys, we are back. So hopefully you guys do check out Run BMT and John Estrada with that whole that community has been fantastic. David Lawrence, we're hoping to get Seth from Run BMT on the show and maybe work some stuff out there because I want to eventually not be as chunky as I am, and you know maybe they'll help me running a little bit. Seth, if you have me I'm never running a marathon. I need you to know that in advance. I will never, ever run a marathon unless I'm being chased by a bear for a whole fucking marathon. Because I have a car, Seth. Stop. Like, why am I running 26 miles? That seems dumb. We created technology.
They got motors now, man.
Yeah, they have a whole thing. It's like, oh, I refuse to like turn on my lights because we have fire. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Get in a car. Like, all jokes. I just have to mess with them. So, Shaq.
Yeah, man.
Updraft Marketing, Iconic Insights, the locals. We talked about all this, the journey. Your wife is really supportive because you have been all over the place. I'm joking. You're busy all the time. What are your goals for Updraft Marketing, Iconic Insights, and everything else you're doing over the next years? Like, what is the end game? What are you hoping for? In the perfect scenario, what is in the empire that is Shaq?
Yeah, the empire that's
Wrong
Shaq.
Yeah. Not that Shaq, because he's always like this.
I'd say
for Walmart.
I'd say in the empire that is Shaq. Wow. I'd probably say I'm going to always keep working. I'm going to always keep pursuing some other goal or dream. And maybe that's Updraft Marketing. Maybe that's Iconic Insights. Maybe that's the locals. Whatever it is, I'm always going to be pursuing something. I don't really believe in an endpoint or believe in getting to some upper echelon and then stopping there or retiring there. My goal is to keep doing what I love as long as I possibly can, basically. So if I could give a better answer, what actually is the goal? I want to grow Updraft Marketing where it's, obviously grossing a great amount of money and doing great. And I have great clients and I love what I'm doing. I have employees. And I want it to be a big thing for sure. But I also, don't want to get too lost in just one business. I want to always be doing things that I love doing. My passions right now are marketing, they're videography, and they're helping businesses grow. But at the same time, it might change down the road.
Yeah.
So whatever the passions of the time, I want to have the resources and the ability to pivot if I need to and pursue that passion, and I think that was, before I started this business, before I, gotten to where I am now, it was always doing things or taking jobs that I didn't necessarily want, but they were kind of still in my degree or they were kind of still in my career path. But I was doing them because I needed to at the time. So now it's more so I want to do things that really give me that fulfillment that I want, as opposed to just doing things that are, I don't know, just another job or just another thing, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense.
It makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
You want something that fills your cup.
Yeah.
That's something that makes you feel like it was something worth doing.
Exactly.
Whether by your standard, it's your standard versus anyone else's. Mm-hmm. Something worth doing that you enjoyed, you found value in, it gave you that like serotonin hit. Like, yeah,
exactly.
I did it.
And right now, that is the podcast. That's Iconic Insights. That's Updraft Marketing. That's the locals. Those are filling my cup for sure. I love it. I love what I'm doing. But I definitely acknowledge the fact that we as people change quite often. And I think that
I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago, let alone 5 years ago.
Exactly. Some people it's crazy to me that some people can just choose one thing and stick to it forever. But for me, I know for a fact my personality, it's like there's always going to be something that I want to do.
I earlier when you brought up like, hey, you know, there's people who changed majors, went to school, like, and you encouraged growth and learning through experiences in school. I was screaming 100% agree.
Yeah.
Because you're right. There are people who, hey, 2 years from now, I'm not going to want to do this anymore. There's people who want to bounce around and do all these things, but it's part of the process, right? So who knows if Updraft Marketing and all these things, get the name right, Arthur.
Yes.
Updraft Marketing and all these turn into something else.
Yeah.
You're not limiting yourself or putting yourself in a box where like, this is who I am forever and always. And being flexible is going to make you dynamic and ever evolving. So I love the fact that you've already kind of identified that in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, man. Updraft. I mean, I think one day, if I can give you a little more information, one day Updraft Marketing might turn into a documentary
Series.
Yeah, that's what I really want to do. I really want to shoot documentaries. I have a lot of different ideas locally, and something I'd want to shoot in another state or country. But I love video, man. I really do love it, and I think.
For those who haven't checked out your work, it's fantastic.
I
hit you up. I was like, what lens did you use?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what did you do for this? You're like, it was just this lens and these angles, and you had a storyboard, and you had everything.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. So if anyone hasn't checked them out, check it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's definitely something I'm passionate about, and it's getting, I've been in a video for 6 or 7 years now, I want to say, but still, I haven't been as interested as I am for the past 3 years. It's been pretty serious.
Yeah.
And really trying to hone in what exactly style of shooting I want to do. But I think documentary work's going to be something that really comes in the very near future. So you guys might see something coming out soon.
Hey, look, I'm just going to post it wherever you post it. I'm going to say, hey, check them out. But
there you go.
I do love that your transition from in front of the camera to behind the camera happened so fluidly, and you found your passion behind the camera.
Yeah.
So I just think that's interesting. I don't know if you ever thought about that you went from wanting to be the guy right in front of the camera to actually the other part's better.
No, it's true. It's so true. I mean, I love being in front of the camera. I love being behind the camera. I'm comfortable on both. I really, it doesn't matter to me. But I think being behind the camera now gives me more the ability to actually create the narrative as opposed to just speaking in it, if that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah, it gives me, I like the ability to create what I'm envisioning for myself. And, I at one point I wanted to be an actor, and I did commercials and stuff like that. And it was like, now
you bring up the commercial shit.
I'm sorry, dude. It's like, well, now we're talking about behind and in front of the camera.
God,
but
this man has commercials up. Go ahead.
Nothing too crazy, but it's cool to be the person that's creating the image, and be the person that's really. I want to show what's in my imagination. I want to through documentaries now or through the videos that I do for clients, and it's just been really fun. It's definitely amazing to see what your abilities are and how you can storyboard and craft something inspiring. So that's what I want to do ultimately. It's just create something inspiring for people to look at.
I like that, man. I enjoy that for you. As a complete novice, I do get some insights into the behind the scenes of it, obviously with the show and everything like that. But it's just always so interesting because you get to control that narrative, even the angles you use, the lighting you use could paint the picture and paint the story in a certain way. You can say the story the exact same way, put an angle of the camera where there's a part of their face is shaded. You might make that person seem like the villain of that situation. Yep. Or an angle from slightly underneath where you see their jawline is now they're the hero of the situation. And understanding dynamic and just being able to kind of make that story right in your perspective is so dope and so much fun because it could be the exact same script. It could be the exact same words and just being able to all right, so we can do this. This is the reality of it. This is what I'm trying to put out. This is my style and be individualized of it. It's awesome. And I'm happy for it. And I'm looking forward to the next 5 years. And if you do a documentary and you're bored and you just want someone to make drinks on the side, you call me and I got you.
Absolutely, man.
But as we round out, because I'm not going to get Shaq's wife mad at me, I will be sending this to him. So I apologize. This is completely my fault.
All good.
What's next for you?
Next, ultimately, I think right now is going to be to just keep on doing what I'm doing, honestly.
Awesome.
I think what's next is going to be, I want to get bigger guests for Iconic Insights. I want to speak to as many businesses as I can in the local community for the Locals podcast. And I want to continue to make clients happy for Updraft Marketing. And after that, it's just, living life and not being held back by anything. That's what I want. That's what's next for me. It's just living and being a human being, man, because that's one of the things we miss as humans is that we're also tied down with work, and we're also tied down with money and all this other stuff that we never really get to live anymore. At least, I don't even want to say anymore. I just think overall we never really get to live.
There's so much pressure in making a living that you forget to live.
Exactly. And I'm guilty of it. I'm still working on it because I still, a lot of the times, will choose to work instead of going on vacation because I think it's more important, which sucks. And I got to get that mindset out of my head. But I think that's something I need to improve on. And that's going to be next for me, for sure.
That's fair, man. I'll be vulnerable. I'll be honest with you, too. Like, there's sometimes I struggle with my fiance. Like, oh, should I pick up a shift on Monday? It's up to you. Like, if you want to pick it up, you can. Yep. If you do, I have a bunch of content. I can go record places because there's a bunch of events going. And then I realized afterwards, like, I should have shut the fuck up and said, no, I want to hang out with you.
Exactly.
And then, like, afterwards, like, nah, don't work Monday. I want to hang out with you. Mm-hmm. But there's that moment where you're so focused on like the next thing and like, I need to work. I need to constant. Rolling Stone doesn't gain moss. Every once in a while, it's going to be mossy. That's fine. Do it. Enjoy life. But awesome, man.
Enjoy life. That's it. That's it. Mic drop right there. Enjoy life.
And as we close out, enjoy life. Where can everyone find you? Drop out your socials, your handles. We're going to put them obviously in the show notes, but where can everyone like support?
Yeah, so Instagram, Facebook, Chaq Cozart from my personal social media pages, CHAQUILLE, Cozart, COZART. On my business page is Updraft Marketing LLC or just Updraft Marketing on wherever, basically. Iconic Insights, if you want to look at that podcast, Iconic Insights podcast. The Locals, the same thing, The Locals podcast. You can find it on YouTube under Chaq Cozart. Other than that, email me at info@updraftmarketing.com. And that's how you can get in touch with me for any business-related inquiries. But other than that, just check out the show notes.
Everything will be in the show notes. 100%, we want to support everyone. Like we said, we want to support local. And I mean that to the best of my ability. Tomorrow, someone like Joe Rogan will be like, hey, do you want to do stuff for us? Yes, but I'm still going to highlight Orlando. Yes. And Lakeland and the surrounding areas. Greater Orlando. Cool. But guys, if you're enjoying everything we're doing, make sure that you give Chaq a follow, like, subscribe, hit him up if you are a small business that's venturing out and wanting to get that kind of, even if it's something that you just want to touch base with him and see what the options are. I encourage you to do so. If you say you heard it on the show, cool. I get nothing from it, so just support him or whatever. But if you like what we're doing right now, for the time being, our socials are at bourbon_and_BS. By the time you hear this, the new soft relaunch and rebrand of the Last Call podcast, it should be out and about. There should be 4 t-shirts. Everything should be good to go. 4 t-shirts branded specifically for the Last Call podcast. My favorite one so far is new look, same great taste in product. We're rebranding, kind of playing off of the old Pepsi commercials and Coca-Cola commercials where you redid that and you got a new audience. But hopefully you guys stick with us. It's going to be the same show with a little bit more variety of guests and making sure that it's not just bourbon and whiskeys that we talk about, making sure everyone's all inclusive and making it so we could also venture out into perspectives and get those guests that you might be interested in ever having on. So stick with us. If you like what we're doing, make sure you subscribe on Patreon where you can get uncut, unfiltered versions of our episodes, behind the scenes videos and conversations, as well as some whiskey minutes and random storytelling I will give you. During Halloween, we'll talk about haunted distilleries and bars where real life encounters. During seasons like Easter, we'll talk about the Corpse Reviver and talking about cocktails based off of resurrections and a bunch of random things because I'm a random dude. Hopefully you guys love and enjoy. Stay safe. Don't sex your ex. Avoid Amazon one-click buy. Drink responsibly. And always do what's right, guys. But as always, see you next week. Bye, guys. Hey, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdy Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had. From flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business, I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Byrne Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Byrne Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.